In the other vein of things that we've been promised, and going off of this idea of, we thought it was going to be one thing, but it took a lot longer. The Space Launch System is actually fully stacked in the Vehicle Assembly Building. The Space Launch System is the system that NASA developed. We took the space shuttle and we basically ripped it apart and said, all right, we need to go further than we went before, and we're going to use the space shuttle engines, the RS-25s, and we're going to create this launch system that's going to allow us to create this Orion Capsule and send human beings around missions around the solar system, potentially. This would be the biggest rocket that's ever been built. It would be bigger than the Saturn V, and it would give us the capability to send humans to any mission that we would like. And right now, NASA wants to launch one of these missions a year for the next few decades, and be able to have these really long extended missions, have enough energy behind some a capsule with human beings on it that can actually be sent almost anywhere. If you want to go to Mars, you can go to Mars, send an orbit around Mars, have them come back, maybe do some early scouting of the area, actually be able to see it, do more in your mission time than you would be able to otherwise. And then there's other potential missions with other variations of the Space Launch System. But basically, we haven't had this capability in a very long time. SpaceX is developing a lot of that capability right now. And even the ULA's Delta IV Heavy was, considered in the early days of Space Launch System of what would be capable of sending these types of missions to the moon, right? Because we don't really have a rocket right now to send a human mission, to send landers. There is the Falcon Heavy, there is the Delta IV Heavy, but none of those are built to... They're not complete, right? You still have to add something else, a second stage. And, we've heard from, our last NASA administrator, Jim Bridenstine. They were talking about different options of Mod Podging together the different vehicles that are out there. But having one system that's fully integrated and launchable, that's where the Space Launch System comes into play. And it brought up a lot of questions, actually, as I was discussing it this week to some people about why the Space Launch System is even important. And we just kind of broke it down a little bit, but basically there is no single launch system right now that can really get us to the moon, that can really send us around the solar system. And because of delays and things not going as we necessarily planned, funding getting cut, life as you will, we've ended up in this position where we don't have one full option. One of the downsides of the Space Launch System is it's a relic from old years where it is an expendable rocket, which means we don't get to use those boosters again. We don't get to use any part of this rocket other than the capsule more than once, which means it's an extremely, extremely expensive system to launch and make. And that's part of the reason why it's taken so long for it to get out there. Boeing is helping build the SLS, and we're just seeing that in some ways the old way of doing space, big large projects, having it funneled through one organization, and making sure that it's at the highest level of all NASA safety procedures and what they would like, does that make for a rocket that's actually viable and within the budget constraints of an ever-changing political environment? And the answer is obviously no. It's part of the reason why this podcast exists, is because of the grinding halt of space progress, especially human space progress, after the space shuttle ended, and the difficulty of getting a program up and running again. It's been a decade, and we're only now stacking the SLS for the first time to actually get it to launch. So we have definitely seen this play out before. James Webb is a perfect example, right? 2007 was the first launch date. It's now 2021. You've got a solid amount of time before that, since the last night, 14 years in that case, right? These are both two really good examples of what happens when things don't go as you plan, and when you lose the ability that NASA had in the first decade of the 2000s, right? Kind of at the height of your abilities, trying to figure out what the next step is, and at that time, things just didn't pan out in the way that we had hoped, and we are now only just getting to this point. And a lot of that has been thanks to the ability of companies like the United Launch Alliance, to Boeing, to Northrop Grumman, SpaceX, of course, really revolutionizing the monetary challenge of launching something, reusable rockets and the like. Hilariously, we'll have an article attached here by Eric Berger, but essentially, NASA now is looking to have the SLS built at half the price, which is hilarious. It also means that they've gotten used to their daily fix of their daily fix of cheap reusable rockets, and now they are looking to create some kind of a program that has the legs to do what they were talking about, right? Launch one mission for decades and have the ability to keep this launch system up and running. The only way they're able to do that is by cutting the price. And the real question there is it possible to cut the price of a program like that for an expendable rocket that was never looked at to be half the price? How do you get a program that fundamentally was designed a certain way to act fundamentally in a totally different way? How do you get a program with an expensive rocket perform the same way as a rocket that's reusable? I don't know if it's possible, but they are asking for it, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know what that means for Boeing. Does that mean they lose the contract and it goes to somebody else? Does Boeing work together with another company and split the contract to make that happen? I'm still not quite sure on the details there, but NASA is now asking some good questions. They're actually requesting things that, before were kind of outrageous. Now there's data out there that supports reusable rockets are a way to make these budgets and these programs do more with the money that they actually get. And that is the name of the game.